Good evening. Good evening. Audible and visible? Perfecto. Good evening, good evening, good evening. So, the last two classes tomorrow and day after for modern India. Thereafter, we move into post-independence. Today, we reach 42, 5 years away from independence. 5 years away from independence. Another interesting set of topics we have to do. McDonald Award is nothing but how the British undermined Gandhi's request and gave depressed classes separate electorates. The Prime Minister was McDonald, that is why Prime Minister McDonald Award or communal awards. After the NCRTs which are generally relevant for modern India is 8th class and 12th class part 3, which is new NCRT. Old NCRT you're automatically covering because of Bipin Chandra. Bipin Chandra is nothing but the old NCRT. Exactly the same. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Don't have to. Pankaj, I know Bipin Chandra will not cover Pune Pact. Bipin Chandra will not have a lot of the things which I am discussing with you. It was not written with the perspective of, it is the old NCRT, but it has a different perspective altogether. So don't have to worry. That is why I am saying the PPTs are more than enough. The PPTs are more than enough in that sense. See, Abhishek, my PPTs are actually not just one book, but 6 different books together. In certain areas, I'm going as high level as optional and then bringing it down. So don't have to worry. Chronological order, Subarna, generally helps you. Thereafter, the details will start to make more sense. Yes, first the PPT, then the NCRT. And basically the purpose of the NCRT and Bipin Chandra both are revision. Not to learn anything, but to revise. Now, as I was saying, today's agenda is very simple. We'll discuss Surya Sen, a small discussion which we had actually left for the 1930 period. We'll discuss Chittagong raid. Vishwa, how you remember all these things is called 15 minutes rule. Try to learn certain number of facts for histories of 15 minutes allocated in the morning and evening for modern India. Learn these facts systematically. I've always said this and I will say it again. We'll talk about that, Tushar. The history is like a pizza. You cut the pizza. If you don't cut it, it will choke you. So same way, you cut the pizza into slices and you systematically learn. No one can learn all the facts in one go. You have to systematically divide and go forward. Okay, so we will discuss Surya Sen. Then we will discuss Government of India Act 1935, the last major act itself. Thereafter, we will discuss Gandhi versus Bose. And thereafter, we will go into the Ramgarh session and what is called the Second World War. And our discussion is going to end with August offer, individual satyagrah, and then we will go to Cripps mission. Tomorrow we will do the Quit India movement and thereafter go into miscellaneous topics. What to retain from the NCRT while reading, Sahil? You just have to just repeat what I'm doing. The point of history is repetition. Any subject, it has to be repetition. Vaishnavi, first time used in technically Nehru report. It will be on Yashovarman on Thursday. Then Friday, Saturday, and Monday will be post-independence. Okay. So very simply, as I said, there are facts. There will always be facts. It's not specific to history, polity, geography, economy. Anywhere you will go, same exact issue. There will be conceptual clarity, but there will always be certain amount of facts which you need to do. And those facts you do basically via repetition. Repetition systematically 365 days in that sense. Yes, Pritham, I will be repeating modern history soon. So the next batch is, I think, morning batch. So we'll see. I hope you're now more comfortable with this. Right. Okay. So if everybody is here and people are still joining in, after history, you will go into geography. You'll go into geography. Now, can we start our discussion for today? Because we have to discuss a small section, which is Surya Sen. And thereafter, we will go to and come back to 1935. So if you remember, I talked about the revolutionaries in the period of 1929 and 30, but I left one section, which is the concept of what we call as the specific geography of Bengal. And that is because it was more linked up with the CDM than it was actually linked up with other revolutionary activities. And basically, in Bengal, after C.R. Das's death, there are two major leaders who will emerge. One, J.M. Sen Gupta, and the Anusilan group is going to revive itself back. Basically, the Anusilan name is going to come back. And Subhash Chandra Bose as two major towering leaders in Bengal. And there will be certain attempts. For example, in 1924, Charles Tegard is going to be technically shot by Gopinath Saha. However, the problem was that the one who he killed was not Tegard, but Day. But he did kill an officer. Later, Gopinath Saha will be hanged. However, the government was extremely heavy on the revolutionaries by 1930. But the most, yes, C.R. Das is not no changer, but Swarajist. But the most important personality with regards to Bengal and revolutionary activities is Surya Sen. Surya Sen was the one who participated in the non-cooperation and was actually a teacher in the national school at Chittagong. And between 1926 and 28 was even arrested for revolutionary activities. Later will become the secretary of the Chittagong District Congress Committee. Loved poetry, loved Nurul Islam and Tagore. However, he was soon joined by a band of revolutionaries, Anand Singh, Ganesh Ghosh, and Lokesh Nath Baul, and they will become the mastermind of what is called the Chittagong Armory raid. This is one thing which was happening parallelly to the CDM in that sense, and this is one of the most interesting periods or one of the most interesting episodes in the Chittagong sector, in the eastern sector, because here the British will technically lose control over an armory, which is actually a major concept. However, the problem was that though the armory had guns, close to 303 of them, the ammunition was not there, because if the ammunition would have been there, this raid would have been totally different. So Sen had decided that he is going to raid along with his associates two major armories. Armories is where you keep your arms and ammunitions. Arms and ammunition. And basically Chittagong was a very important space for these two armories. And along with 6 others revolutionaries, Ganesh Ghosh, whilst chanting Inqilab Zindabad, down with imperialism, Gandhi Raj has been established, he will take control of the auxiliary army. However, though the Lewis guns were there and 303 army rifles were there, but nothing with regards to ammunition was there. So though this raid was very, very successful, it will lead to nothing really, because the ammunition was not then in that sense. And the basic point is, I'll give you the summary. The basic point is that whilst there will be a full breakdown of the railway link, the telegraph link, even the banner of what we call as the Revolutionary Army Chittagong branch will be unfurled in different places, and 65 activists will do it. It is a very interesting period because he will be able to hoist the national flag and proclaim a revolutionary government. However, as soon as the government started to bring in the army and started to raid the villages, by 1933, Surya Sen will be technically arrested and hanged in 1934. But for at least 3 years, this Chittagong Armory raid or Chittagong Armory itself had become a very important aspect of provisional governments or parallel governments. The British had no control over this area for a very long time. Bose was not in this raid, Surya Sen. One of the most outstanding features of the armory raid itself was that women had become very important. So, for example, Kalpana Datta was arrested and given life sentence along with Surya Sen. But in this period of the CDM, we also have interesting personalities. For example, Pritilata Vadekar had conducted a raid on the Railway Institute at Pahartali along with the revolutionaries of the Bengal phase. But we have Shanti Ghosh and Suniti Chanderi who shot the district magistrate, imagine. And in 1932, Beena Das actually, whilst getting a degree, fired point blank at the governor. Now imagine these women are never considered or never actually, yeah, you have to remember this, very important. These women are not mentioned in the larger list of revolutionaries. But imagine Beena Das did a 3-year course to just kill the governor. Point blank would mean just next to him. And basic point of the matter is, be it Beena Das, be it Shanti Ghosh or Suniti Chanderi, be it Pritilada Vadekar or be it Kalpana Datta, they represent a parallel story which was happening when the CDM was happening. So while the civil disobedience movement is happening, these revolutionaries also were extremely important. So what this discussion is a small part which is left out of CDM. What you have to remember just generally for the examination, I am telling you that Chittagong Armory raid, Surya Sen, and simple, the name of these revolutionaries can come in the examination. Can you do this? There's nothing here. It's just a random set of words. That's it. So it is very, very important that you do learn them. Women's participation in CDM and generally is important. It's not a big thing. It's not something very, very extensive. Bengal, as I said, we discussed Bhagat Singh. Then I skipped this part because it is more aligned with the period of CDM. Once we've discussed CDM yesterday, we've understood Gandhi and Bhagat Singh's relationship. We've discussed with regards to what is the concept of the roundtable conferences, Minorities Pacts, Gandhi and Pune Pact. Now, if we all are comfortable with all of this, I want to start our discussion with regards to Government of India Act 1935. One of the most extensive and one of the most important mini constitution, as it is called. Basically, the Indian constitution is based on the Government of India Act 1935. Can we discuss and start our discussion? This was just a small detour to just add these names to your repertoire. Yes, we are comfortable. Surya Sen, Chittagong raid. There was a breakdown of British authority for at least 2 years. However, the problem was they had guns but not ammunition. And there were certain personalities who were linked to the Chittagong raid itself. And that will Kalpana Datta and Pritilaka Vadekar. And then you have Beena Das and the 2 women who had shot a person. Okay, now, don't need a mnemonic. Now I want to really go into Government of India Act 1935. What is the context of ammunition? Means guns, the ammunition. Now, what is the context of the Government of India Act? Please pay attention now. Bullets, yes. Please pay attention now, because we are traversing a certain time period. We are traversing a certain time period. And that period in itself is very, very important because of Indian politics and generally how Indian politics was developing at this point of time. So we will start our story today with regards to 1935 Government of India Act. We will then discuss the 1936 and 1937 elections and the most important aspect related to Muslim League. Thereafter, we will go into 1938, 1939, Haripura and Tripuri sessions. Haripura and Tripuri session. These two are related to Gandhi versus Bose. Then you have 1940 and 1942. This is what we cover today. And basically, 1940 is important for August offer and what is called as Ramgarh session. 1941 is important for what is called individual satyagraha. And then 1942 is Cripps mission. So though a very short timeline of 5 years, but now these 5 years will have a lot of things happening simultaneously. Now this timeline I hope is clear where we are in the story. As you know, helps you generally in the larger chronological order of modern India. So now, what is the context of the Government of India Act? So the Government of India Act basically is the product of the Round Table Conferences report, which is called the White Papers. Basically, these White Papers is the name given to the Round Table Conferences report, or whatever was decided in the Round Table Conference. The report is called the White Papers. Along with that, when you add Simon Commission report, you basically get the Government of India Act 1935. So it is a major development with regards to our constitutional history. And if you remember, we've done quite a lot. We started in 1773, we went to 1784, 1813, 1833, 1793, 1793, 1813, 1833, 1853. Then we went to 1861, 1892, 1909, 1919, and now finally 1935. You have not realized it, but you basically are finally reaching the last point of the constitutional history. And this generally helps you in the polity and in history both. But in history, you get more questions with regards to this. Now, these are basically the Company Acts, Regulating Act, Pitt's India Act, Charter Act, Charter Act, Charter Act, Charter Act. This is Government of India Act, Indian Council Act, Indian Council Act, Indian Council Act, also known as Morley-Minto, separate electorates. 1919 is Montagu-Chelmsford, Hierarchy, Legislative Division. Now we come to 1935. So 1935 is the culmination of a long process of constitutional development. And as I said, it is technically a product of the White Papers and Simon Commission. If you add to the Simon Commission report, plus White Papers, you basically get the 1935 Act. So I hope you understand where the 1935 Act comes from where it is linked to and what it is linked to. Because if it is then I'm going to need your concentration for the next half an hour when I'll show you the evolution of India and the final structure which got independence in India in that sense. So we all are clear with regards to the whole story, and this is the basic point. Okay. Now, everybody's with me, come on. Perfect. Let's discuss Government of India. So, on the eve of 1935, what is the structure? Now you revise with me, right? You say it with me, but you have to just say it with me so that you know what is the basic structure. So you have Secretary of State, your Secretary of State. This is called what? This is called India House. Very good. And there is one more body, which is the High Commissioner. Very good. And the High Commissioner's office is called the Council of India. This is a new word which had come in between, but we did not discuss it, but it's called the Council of India. It's called the Council of India. Nothing but he is the head of the Council of India. How it is called India House? It is called Council of India. Then these two bodies control the Governor General and Viceroy of India. He has his own structure, which is technically based on the Executive Council and Legislative Assembly. Extremely good. Everybody is with me. Great. And the Council of States. This was called bicameralism. Now, he had under him what are called governors. And last when we discussed, it was Bombay, Bengal, Madras, Punjab, Awadh, Northwestern Frontier. Northwestern Frontier. And here the governors have technically two: Executive Council and Provincial Legislative Councils. Yes, we have the following structure, which is in England. In England, we have this structure, which is Secretary of State, High Commission or High Commissioner, Council of State. And in India, we have this structure, which is Government, Governor General, Viceroy of India, Executive Council, Legislative Assembly, and Council of States. This together was called the concept of bicameralism. There is something called diarchy. There's something called diarchy in which there are two basic divisions. This is called diarchy and this is called bicameralism. And simply diarchy allowed for what is called a reserved and transferred, and simply there was legislative division. So simply this is the beautiful structure which was coming up in India. Yes, his plus 15 members are still there. Very good, perfect, no issues. So we understand this basic structure because now India will get diarchy is the concept of division of legislative subjects in the provinces into reserved, in which the governor and executive council legislate, and governor plus legislative council is transferred. All useless things were put into the legislative, the transferred subjects. Reserved subjects were one which really mattered. So we all are on the same page with regards to this, right? We understand this basic structure. Okay. So now what does Government of India Act 1935 do? Now Please understand simple point. This has been an evolution from 1861 till 1935. And as I said, the structure is more or less stable. And Montagu-Chelmsford reforms introduces bicameralism and reserved, and the concept of what is called diarchy. The concept of diarchy. Other smaller changes were done, but that are not important to us. So, Secretary of State and High Commissioner in England, then Governor General and Viceroy of India, Legislative Assembly, Council of State, Executive Council, and at the provincial level, this is the provincial level, this is the central level, this is central, this is provincial. So I presume and I understand that you understand the structure. We've been doing it and you already know it. So imperial, central, whatever you want to call it, perfect, no issues. So you are now teaching me. That is a very good, very good sign of now the concept and understanding developing. Great. Okay. Now, Government of India Act 1935. There will be a whole set of changes. And first is going to happen in England. What happens in England is very simply. Now, please pay attention. 3 out of 6. Yes, Rahul, perfect. Those are minor details. For me, structure matters. Now, you're the Council of India. No, but the High Commissioner. And you had the Secretary of, rather we'll write it the same way. You had the India House with what we call as Secretary of State plus 15 members. Very good. Now the first change which it does is, it abolishes, or rather we'll say it removes the Council of India. We all can, if you remember when I discussed it, we already knew that it was more or less pointless. Just having a separate office for foreign relations makes no sense. So basically the British will realize it by 1935 that this High Commissioner's office is just a waste of money and basically a waste itself. So now the Council of India will be abolished. This is what is called, yes, this is the longest act with chapters. The whole structure of the government of the Indian Constitution is based on the Government of India Act 1935. So it removes the Council of India, and that is the first thing, which is, this is gone. Now, if that is the case, now only the Secretary of State controls the Governor General and Viceroy of India. And he has his Executive Council and his Legislative Assembly and his Council of State. Now, please pay attention. The second major change now in the Indian sector, the first major change, and as you know, I will give the summary, the whole structure, is that the Executive Council now cannot order anything to the governors of provinces. Basically, this is called provincial autonomy. Basically, in this structure, the Executive Council could very simply order something to the governor could order something to the governor. So in a way, the governors were not autonomous, but executive council could order the governors. So basically, the Government of India Act 1935 introduces it was subordinated to the Executive Council. Now the word subordination is not used. Now from where we started with legislative centralization, this is the last moment of decentralization, which is provinces have autonomy. We have provincial autonomy, that the provinces cannot be ordered by anybody at the what is called the central level, and they are now fully free. They are now fully free. So this is a very important concept, that simply the Executive Council cannot order anything to the provincial governors. Now, one next change which was introduced, and very interestingly, it was never implemented. It proposed hierarchy at the center. But never implemented. It proposed that Governor General and Viceroy of India should also have this relationship in which something should be only done with the Executive Council and something with the Legislative Assembly and Council of States. But hierarchy will never ever be implemented. So at the England and at the imperial level, there are superficial changes, tweaks as we call them. Council of State is going to be, a Council of India is going to get established, or rather Council of India is going to get abolished. It will be removed, and hierarchy will be proposed at the center, but will never be implemented. And provincial autonomy will now become the word. The buzzword is provincial autonomy, which is basically governor of the provinces are fully free of any control from the center. We started with 1773. If you remember, we discussed how from 1773 to 1858 there was centralization of power in the center. Now it has now become fully free. So can we agree to these three first major changes? Hierarchy, as you know, is the concept of legislative division into two parts, reserved and transferred, which is basically the if it would have been applied, Governor General and Viceroy of India would have something called reserved subjects, which only Executive Council could have done it, and some transferred, which the Governor General, Viceroy, and Legislative Assembly and Council of State would have done it. But that was never ever implemented. Simple point, England, Council of India is gone, and Governor General and Viceroy of India now has the concept of Executive Council, which is totally going to only do what is called central work, imperial work, and at the legislative level, something was proposed, but something was not applied. Is hierarchy good or bad? Hierarchy is not a good concept. Why it is not implemented, Samuel? Because it complicates things. Because hierarchy at the provincial level was also not working. Hierarchy only confuses. Why do you want to complicate it? When everything needs to be done within the same legislative wing, as a lot of you pointed out to me last time itself. What is the point of having an executive doing legislative work? Are you getting my point? The problem is that hierarchy will only complicate and intermix things. It never worked at the provincial level. It will never work and it would have never worked at the center. So the Viceroy was very clear. He said, let the act say what it says. We will not apply this rule. We will not apply this rule, which is hierarchy at the center. Does India have hierarchy today? No. Very good. So hierarchy as a concept does not exist today. And that is one of the reasons, because 1935 Act never implemented it. And because it was seen as a failure at the provincial level, it was never applied at the central level. I am again repeating myself. Simple point is, one major change: Council of India gone, High Commissioner gone. Yes, you can make it Shruti. And thereafter, the Governor General and Viceroy of India basically has now lost any major control on the provinces because of provincial autonomy, and hierarchy was proposed but never ever implemented. Can we agree to this? Puja, hierarchy, as I said, is the concept which was already here, which is the concept of reserved and transferred subjects. This is a legislative jurisdictional concept, which is that who will legislate or make laws on certain subjects. So executive council and legislative council were divided into two. Governor takes some laws with executive council, governor takes some law with legislative council. Reserved and transferred. This is what we done in Montagu Chelmsford in a lot of details. Can I go to now the provincial level, where the real changes actually happened in India properly? Properly, India changed at the provincial level. Yes? Great. So we all agree to this set right now, which is the concept of Council of India, provincial autonomy and hierarchy. Yes, everyone, come on. No changes in member, no changes, nothing like that. Too minor for us as of right now. Okay. Now at the provincial level, the real changes happen, which is technically a full reorganization of India in the way that now at the provincial level, what we see is that between 1919 and 1935, there were already certain provinces which had been added to take the number to 8, and in 1935 3 more are added. So between 1919, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, between 1919 and 1935, the following provinces existed. And I have not introduced this concept here very specifically because I am dealing with what I did with you last. So as of this, there were not technically 6, but total 8. I will update it here also. So Bengal, Bombay, Madras. Thereafter, something new which is called Bihar, the United Province, Assam, Punjab, and Central Province. Basically MP, UP, Assam, Punjab, Bihar, Madras, and Bombay. And if I want, I'll just add them here so as to basically update this list, which is you have Bombay, Bengal, Madras, Bihar, UP, CP, and Assam, and Punjab. The Oudh was actually renamed in this in between as United Province. Central Province is carved out as new. Punjab is technically nothing but the northwestern province, and Assam is nothing but the partitioned Bengal. Basically, this concept, CP means Central Provinces. This concept had United Province means UP. These eight had emerged between 1919 and 35 by either reorganization or renaming. But these were such changes which I did not need to deal with you. So that is why we did not discuss it. But now when I go do 1935 Government of India Act, basically between 1919 and 1935, 8 provinces started to exist. Central provinces is MP, United Provinces is UP, Assam is nothing but the whole northeastern sector. Punjab is Punjab, previously called what? Northwestern Frontier or Northwestern Province. United Province, Bihar, Madras, Bombay, Bengal. So this information I have been withholding with me because it made no sense to add 1111 without discussing constitutional development. So simple point. There have been certain additions and reorganization, but it has been done internally in India and will be mentioned formally for the first time only in Government of India Act 1935. And I am a Britisher, so basically it matters to me here, which is 8 provinces which existed as of 1934. It should not come as a shock. It should not come as something new. But as I said, not important when they are added. Parth, that is the basic point. Awadh becomes United Province. All of this happens in the background. We don't care about the background story. What matters is what is added further and the concept of what is called bicameralism at the provincial level. Basic point. It seems as something has changed, but what has changed is same places have been reorganized. That is it. We don't need to know how these 8 emerge because they happen at the Indian level, not at the British level. Are we clear of this? It is not out of the sky that these have fallen into, but they have emerged as we were concentrating on nationalism. The British in the background changed the system. We were discussing about Gandhi. Whilst we were discussing Gandhi, the British were doing all of this in the background. Can we agree to this concept? Because for us, Gandhi was more important or national movement was more important. So very simply, I have for the same reason updated this list. So there's no issue that on the eve of 1935, the 8 different provinces which existed were simply a reorganization. Central province is MP, United Province is UP, which is Uttar Pradesh. So can we agree to this much? It is not deceivement. It is not something new. It's just that this has happened in the background. Perfect. Great. Now what happens is that the Government of India Act adds 3 more provinces. Adds 3 more provinces. The 3 more provinces basically are, and you know them also, are Orissa, Bombay Presidency loses Sindh, and Northwestern Frontier Province. Northwestern Frontier Province. Refresh, Prachi. This is nothing but Afghanistan. Whilst all of this has happened, there's one more thing which will happen, which is out of British India, 5th change, Burma will be removed. I will give you a graphical representation of this. Don't worry. As of right now, just follow what I'm doing. They've added 1, 2, 3 new provinces, and they've removed Burma from India. So Myanmar became a separate British Myanmar at this point of time. Punjab would include, as of right now, parts of Pakistan and Punjab. Sindh has now become a separate province itself. Northwestern Frontier Province is a province in itself, which is technically the concept of the Afghanistan sector. In India, you have Bengal, Bombay, Madras, Bihar, United Province, Assam, Punjab, and Central Province. If you want, yes, later, it is Northwestern Frontier Province where basically Pakistan will be created. We will discuss that. But parts of Punjab will also go. If you want that, I can just put them spatially here and it will make sense where they are. Can I do that? because there is much more to the story than this much. So basically, you have Madras in south, Bombay, Central Province, United Province, Bengal, Bihar, Orissa, Assam, Punjab, Sindh, Northwestern Frontier Province. Yes, this is how they are technically. See, if I show you the Indian map, you will technically not recognize it because there is princely states inside it. So that is why I am trying to give you a spatial understanding. Madras, Central Province, Bombay, Sindh, Punjab, Northwestern Frontier Province, United Province, Bihar, Bengal, Orissa, Assam. So basically, this is how they're spatially done. And out of this, Orissa, Northwestern Frontier Province, and Sindh have been added. These are the 1, 2, 3 new additions. Is this clear, everybody? Come on. We see this concept, and you will not find it in any random book. I'm discussing something very specialized, and I need to give you clarity with regards to that. So you have 8 already, 3 new added. Total becomes how much? 11 total provinces. Very good. Now there is one more change which happens at this level. And that is basically even more interesting and important, which is that out of these 11 provinces, 6 will have, and 5 and 6 provinces and 5 provinces, 6 will finally get what is called bicameralism at provinces, and they will be unicameral. And I will give you graphical representation, don't worry. And which means that basically Bengal, Bombay, Madras, Bihar, United Province, and Assam, their structure will look something like this. Governor, and now basically it resembles the center. He will have his executive council, he will have his legislative assembly or legislative council, and he will have his legislative assembly. I hope you understand this concept with regards to Vidhan Sabha and Vidhan. What is the other word? Vidhan Sabha and Vidhan Parishad. Very good. Parishad. MLA, member of what is called Legislative Assembly. MLC, member of Legislative Council. Perfect. Great. Very good. This is the concept of Legislative Assembly and the concept of Vidhan Sabha, Vidhan Parishad. Now, basically, in these provinces, now you have bicameralism at the lowest level, at the provincial level. However, in Punjab, Central Province, Orissa, Northwestern Frontier Province, and Sindh, it will be unicameral. Unicameral means governor and his 2 major councils, executive council and legislative assembly. Very good. Everybody is following this. Now tell me one thing. If you've ever been introduced to the concept of Vidhan Parishad, does the list of 6 provinces seem familiar? Yes, ironically, in India today, all of this, which is West Bengal, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, and Assam, basically now have, later we've added more, now still have what is called Vidhan Parishad. Still have Vidhan Parishad. And this is the basic point. This is the basic point. Why has it been done? Because these provinces were bigger, and the basic point is it's a drama. By adding a legislative council, what are they doing? By adding a legislative council, firstly, it is more or less useless. They are just increasing seats. More seats, more seats, more seats. But the most important concept here again is hierarchy is abolished at the provincial level. It's all appeasement. Very good. You've started to think like a Britisher. Very good. That is how you get a hold of modern India. Think like a Britisher. It is just to increase seats. It is just to increase seats. See, certain changes were done later with regards to Tamil Nadu, adding Karnataka, the Telangana, and Andhra Pradesh. As of 1947, these were the ones which went with Vidhan Parishad. Later we've added, sure, but I am discussing their persistence. The concept of Vidhan Parishad does not have genesis in what is called independent India, but in colonial India. Now, if you understand all of this, I would like to bring all of it together into two flowcharts. And it should basically bring everything together. I have basically, they abolished the hierarchy at the provincial level, propose it at the center level. I'll again repeat myself. You see, it is basically a very big act. Other smaller provisions are also there. But Council of India is gone. Provincial autonomy, where governors don't have any control, or the governors technically are not controlled by the Executive Council of the Viceroy. And hierarchy was proposed but never implemented. On the other hand, at the provincial level, we see the addition of 3 new provinces, in which 8 were already there. And these three were interesting because they were being bifurcated one out of Bengal, one out of Punjab, other out of Bombay Presidency. Thereafter, hierarchy will be abolished at all levels and the provincial level. And in 6 provinces, they will have bicameralism. 5 will not have bicameralism, which is unicameral. Now, can I bring all of these 3 pages into one page, and then I want to show you in graphical manner what is there. Okay. Why recommend hierarchy? Barth, that was Simon Commission's problem. Simon Commission said, provincial, it doesn't work. Center, it will work. But Viceroy said that you don't have to tell me this. I will not apply only. Okay. Now, I cannot, Yashovarman, please understand this. You have a modern notion of a map. I cannot show you that right now because India is very different to the map you understand right now. I will show you a map tomorrow, and that is going to be very important, where everything is going to get settled down. Don't worry about that. Okay. Even in the center, hierarchy was introduced but not accepted. Now let's see the whole structure. Please pay attention. I'm bringing all these 3 concepts together. As I said, I can easily show you a map, but it will only distort your vision more because the India you imagine today is much different than what it is right now. So I'm spatially putting them. Don't worry about that. I'm telling you the state which they are. Okay. Council of India, Secretary of State, gone. Please, let's revise. Then Governor General of India and Viceroy. And one more thing, please remember, this is how you revise also, because when I will read it out to you, you will see it actually makes no sense only. When I will read the same provisions out to you, it will make no sense. So reading a book will not help. No legislative, only why not legislative council in 5 states? 3 were new and these 2 were smaller than the other ones. Okay. He has executive council and then he has legislative assembly and council of states. Anybody has any issue till this point? Please come on, tell me. Anybody has any issue till this point? No? Here, what are the major changes? One is this. Second is provincial autonomy. And third is hierarchy proposed but not applied. Thereafter, things will start to become a little bit interesting at the provincial level. 6 provinces, 5 provinces, the 6 being Bombay, Madras, Bengal, Bihar, United Province, Assam. 5 here, 3 new provinces added. Here you have Punjab, Central Province. The reason for bicameralism and this 6 is because these are very big states, very big provinces. Orissa, Sindh, and Northwestern Frontier Province. These are the 3. These are the 3 which are introduced. These are the 3 which are introduced. And out of this, Burma removed from British India. It will get its own viceroy. It is not part of India now. So the whole Myanmar sector goes out. I'll remove this so that there's no confusion, but I'll write it in the corner. Burma removed from India. Now, at this level, it looks like this. Governor, Executive Council, and Legislative Assembly and Legislative Council. This is the new addition. This is called bicameralism. Whilst here, it is going to be very simple. Governor and Executive Council, Legislative Council. The division is based on administrative convenience, Jay, as I said. Now, are you able to envisage what is happening? If you can, then I will give you a graphical or a little bit more type of a flowchartish, mind mapish concept. Is this making sense, everybody? Come on. If you understand this, after this, straight away, Indian Independence Act, last constitutional provision. Yes? Come on. Everybody has to say yes. If you're sitting there with any issue, please do tell me. The division is based on administrative convenience. Northwestern Frontier Province and Northwestern Province different. Northwestern Province became Punjab. Afghanistan is Northwestern Frontier Province. The difference between the two is that this is bicameral and this is unicameral. Okay. Now, why Burma removed? Because they knew that Indian independence would also mean that India would have Burma. So they very categorically removed. They very categorically removed Burma. Burma. Okay. You want me to number the changes? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, 6 changes. Okay. In unicameral, there should be legislative. Okay, I'll make it assembly. No issues. You are. Now better. If it confuses you, sure, why not? What is the difference between Legislative Council and Council of State? Council of State is at the central level. Legislative Council is at the provincial level, but basically both are the same in the sense that Raj Sabha and Vidhan Parishad have the same type of work. Same type of work. Yes. Now let's try to understand. Let's try to understand. I'll add this point also if you want. 7. Hierarchy abolished at provincial level. Okay. Now try to imagine it like this. Try to imagine it like this. This is British India. This is Burma. All reserve transfer topics managed by to get no executive involvement. No executive involvement. They removed Burma because they knew that if India did get independence, India would be much bigger than what it was. So it was about administrative convenience and basically anticipating independence. Okay. The hierarchy in simple concept is legislative division between the governor, executive council, and legislative council. Okay. Now you have, this is Delhi. This is Delhi. So in Delhi, you have the Governor General and Viceroy, Legislative Assembly, Council of States. Yes, Ashavarman, true. Executive Council. What does difference between bicameral, unicameral? Shiva, if in the parliament there was only Lok Sabha, unicameral, one. When there are two houses in legislature, it's called bicameral. Lok Sabha and Raj Sabha. Okay. Executive Council, this is okay. This is Delhi. Now, you have okay. This is Sindh. I need to remove this also. This is North Western Frontier Province. And this is Punjab. Thereafter, what does the green represent? Are you able to decode it? What does the green represent? Very good. Green represents newly added. So you have United Province, you have Bihar, you have Bengal, you have Assam, and you have Orissa. and you will see automatically India will come into existence. You have Orissa. Orissa should be in the wrong color. It should be in green color. Sorry, just 1 second. It will make sense in the end. Don't worry about that. Then every other color remains the same. Then you have Bombay, Central Provinces. You have Madras. So you see, this is basically United Province, Bihar. You have Bengal, Assam, Orissa, then Madras. Bihar was not newly added. Only 3 were newly added. Orissa, Northwestern Province, Sindh. Central Province and Bombay. Now, are you able to imagine India within this? Are you able to see it? Are you able to see it? Yes, because the gaps which you see here basically are all princely states. The concept of paramountcy I will discuss with you day after tomorrow. But India technically was this only. If you actually had to see India, it was this only. But now we have one more task to do, which is to shade them. So let's say green color for newly added, blue color for 8 existing as of 1934. And now we will shade them. We will shade Bombay. We will shade Madras. We will shade Bengal, Assam, Bihar, and United Province. What does this shade represent? Come on, tell me. What does this shade represent? Very good. Perfect. Orange represents bicameralism at province, and then you have whatever is left is basically red is unicameral. Even before I'm asking you, telling me, very good, unicameral. Now will you be able to imagine it? Will you be able to understand it? Yes. So this helps at least process all the information which we've done, but at least this is better than this one. This is heavy, but now basically we made it into a simple graph. A simple graph. Unicameral means it only has one house. It only has one house. Yes. Can we go to the minor points? The Northwestern Province became Punjab. Northwestern Frontier Province is afterwards, is basically Afghanistan. 1935 Government of India Act. Can I now add the minor points which are also there in this area and we close this topic? Okay. So I'll give you a summary again. Don't worry. When we talk about the other points of the Government of India Act, I will write them down for you. So let us discuss the provisions of the Government of India Act 1935. And once I've done this, I will read it out from the PPT. And basically, yes, Afghanistan, Yashovarman, not proper Afghanistan. The eastern part of Afghanistan was part of India. So, Government of India Act 1935 provisions. Once I've done with this, we'll read it out of the PPT and we'll close this topic. So, let us simply add the obvious ones which we already discussed. First concept is Council of India in London is abolished, which is High Commissioner gone. Second, provincial autonomy. Third, hierarchy proposed at the center but never implemented. Hierarchy abolished at provincial level. 3 new provinces added: Orissa, Northwestern Frontier Province, and Sindh. 6, Burma removed from India. 7, 6 provinces get bicameral legislature. And I think these 7 points we all understand. Yes? Yes, Praveen, everything remains the same. Everything remains the same. Now, there are further 3 more interesting points. First is called the concept of federal court. The federal court was proposed. Now, when we talk about the federal court, its jurisdiction, technically it's a precursor to the Supreme Court. Its jurisdiction was any dispute between province and center. Basically, this is and province and province. This is the original and exclusive jurisdiction of the Supreme Court today, which is any province and province has a problem, they will go to the federal court. If province and center has an issue, basically this is the precursor of the Supreme Court, which is if there's province center, there is a clash, go to federal court. If province clash, go to the federal court. So it is basically for legal and legislative disputes. In India today, it is performed by original and exclusive jurisdiction of Supreme Court. Very good. So if there is any dispute between center and state today and state, they can go to the Supreme Court. This is the precursor of this aspect of the Supreme Court, which is the concept of federal court. Federal, because it is the center state relationship, so federalism. Then it also introduced the concept of concurrent list. Concurrent list was added to the provincial and imperial list. So now there's this concept that there are certain articles or certain subjects on which the center and the state both can legislate. So the concept of concurrent. Center and province both can legislate. But residual power still remains with the viceroy. Residual power still with the viceroy. 10 is called separate electorates. Now you see the level of frustration Gandhi would get, but technically he did not feel. Separate electorates for women, depressed classes, and workers. Women, depressed classes, and workers. Now you see, they are now fully happy to divide India as much as possible. As much as possible. Which is that the women, depressed classes, and workers basically will also now have separate electorates. Will also now have separate electorates, which is again technically now going to the professional level to divide India. Thereafter, there was also a very important concept, which is RBI or the Reserve Bank of India was established under the Government of India Act 1935. 1935. Shruti, they will either reserve the seat for depressed class or for women, not for both. Then last and the most interesting, British India will be an all India federation, never implemented. Can I tell you what is the concept of all India federation? The concept of all India federation. Can I discuss the concept of all India federation? We all are clear about these 7 and then the first 11 or the first 4 in this. Why, sir? Why provincial autonomy? Because now the center has too much to do as it is, and provinces are very, very powerful now. 8, as I said, is federal court for disputes, because there's now a concurrent list. So basically, with concurrent list, there will be disputes. So federal court. And the separate electorates, as you remember, Dr. Ambedkar said that he does not want it, but still he gave it. Still he gave it. And this is what the British do. Even after the Dr. Ambedkar said that we don't want it, depressed class, women, and workers. RBI Act is 1934, but the provision of 1934, that RBI Act, will come into effect via Government of India Act 1935, and the whole concept of a reserve bank is going to be introduced via this act only. Though the RBI Act is 1 year early, it will come into effect via this act. It was included into it. Now, can we discuss the 12th point? You don't have to get caught up in the first 4. Their standard points just need to identify in the examination. Okay. Now, this concept of all India federation is also something which you already know, and you will see, you automatically could see it. Never implemented. The concept was that British India is going to technically comprise of what are called provinces, 11 of them, princely states, and chief commissioners area. Chief commissioners area. Chief commissioners area basically is the precursor for the concept of UTs, which is these areas are too small to be provinces, so directly managed by center or imperial center. These are managed by their governors, but is still part of British India. Now comes the most problematic, which is princely states. These are princely states. These are semi-autonomous areas within, and I will discuss this concept with you very soon, paramountcy as it is called, within India, within British India, indirectly controlled by British. I'll give you an example for this. For example, here example is going to be Bombay. Here example is, for example, Hyderabad, Junagadh, Bhopal, etc. And this, a very good example of this would be, for example, Delhi or areas near what is called Bombay city, areas around it. Basically, this was the proposed plan. But you tell me which of the following aspect would, or which of the following wing would have actually opposed this concept, All India Federation. Very good. The princely states. Because these princely states would not like to come under one center. Would not like to come under one center. Basically, the center would control these three areas. In a way, bring all of these three together. And princely states straight away said, we don't want it, too much of a hassle. Federalism means the concept of division between center state. In India, does federalism exist today? Yes, it does, which is the concept of center and state. But in India, there is a concept which is called quasi-federalism, which is federalism with a unitary bias. That though center and state are separate, but most of our what we call as power is concentrated still or tilted towards a strong center. When there's a strong center, it is called unitary bias. We are not a unitary system, we are a federal system wherein we have PMCM. The same way they were proposing the concept of center and state. Center, province, princely states, chief commissioner's area. This was not implemented. So basically you technically do not need to learn, but in the examination, if it says All India Federation, will you be able to simply mark it yes or no? Please tell me this. Yashovarman, as I said, it is a proposed concept of reorganizing India into these three parts with a simple central power. Central power is simply going to control three parts of India together, but that is what is not technically acceptable to the princely states. It is, if you keep it very simple, in the examination they will not say write a short note on All India Federation. If they give you a question with regards to what are the features of the Government of India Act 1935, I hope you will be able to just write all proposed All India Federation, never implemented. You don't have to explain it to the examiner. I am explaining it to you, which is this concept of bringing these three different parts together under one fold. Basically, the Governor General of India and Viceroy would have control over these three areas together under the All India Federation, never came into existence. Yes, no, can we move forward and see the PPTs itself? I am again telling you, All India Federation was a proposed concept under which whole of British India would get reorganized into the concept of provinces reporting to the center, princely states reporting to the center, chief commissioner's area reporting to the center. Now tell me one thing. Out of A, B, and C. Which is the area which is not under the Governor General and Viceroy? Yes, Yashovarman, that is the basic point. This area was not under the Viceroy. B was not under the Viceroy. It was about adding them via this concept. This was not under Viceroy, so wanted to add it. Now, are you getting the point? It's technically trying to trick the princely states to become part of India indirectly. Yes, great. So let's read the provisions. I'm again repeating them. Please pay attention. Please pay attention. Last summary, and then we basically move to Gandhi Bose. Council of India abolished. Secretary of State controls Governor General and Viceroy. Has Executive Council with provincial autonomy. And hierarchy was proposed but not applied at the Legislative Assembly and Council of State level. Nothing really changes if you see at the central level. However, at the provincial level, full reorganization, hierarchy removed, bicameral and unicameral legislature, 6 provinces, Bombay, Bihar, Bengal, Madras, and UP and Assam having bicameral legislature. On the other hand, 5 provinces have Punjab, Central Province, Odisha, Sindh, and Northwestern Frontier Province only have unicameral legislature. Burma has been removed from India. If India was put on a map, it would look something like this. And simply, the following points have already been covered in these flowcharts. There are further 5 points. Federal Court, concurrent list, separate electorates for women, depressed class workers. Reserve Bank of India provision was already there, now added properly. British India will be an all India federation, will never implemented to integrate princely states. Yes, Suraj, very good idea, very perfect idea. And Suraj says, sir, if all India federation implemented, it would be easy for us to consolidate India after independence. And this is the problem which Patel is going to face, which is that all India federation was never applied only. Great, perfect. Why they were not princely states under Viceroy? Because Shruti, the concept of princely states was introduced after 1857 revolt. Paramountcy, I will tell you. Just one class you wait, I will tell you what is the concept of paramountcy. Don't have to worry about that. Paramountcy is the concept of princely states. You just agree to this and we will then go into the whole structure and everything else. Great. So can I just read it out of the PPT? Perfect. I hope now anybody has no issue with regards to Government of India. One of the most difficult to understand because multiple changes at multiple levels. Yes? Great. All India Federation would have been made it easier for princely state reintegration. Yes, very good. Okay. Now, what is that drama? All India Federation, they removed Burma. Burma was removed because they knew that India would going to get independence inevitable and they wanted to remove Burma. All India Federation was just their chance to technically, basically integrate the princely states, which technically did not happen. Okay. What is the beauty of this whole structure? Is that the Government of India Act also has the same structure as the Government of India or the Constitution today. Each of the chapters were divided into parts. Close to 2,000 speeches were given and debates happened in England. Total 11 parts and 10 schedules, considered the lengthiest and the longest piece of legislation ever produced in India. That is why this is called the mini constitution. It's called mini constitution, and the Constitution of India today is basically based on the similar structure. Now, what are the provisions? Autonomy to provinces, end of hierarchy from provinces, but introduced at central level, but never implemented. Then residual powers with the Viceroy, as I told you. Abolition of Indian Council of the Secretary of State. So basically, the Council of India has been abolished. So High Commissioner is gone. All India Federation would be formed. Federation never came into being. Increase of franchise because they reduced the income concept. So 35 million people could now vote. Residual power means that if it does not come under union, concurrent, or state list, residual power, it will go to the Viceroy. Establishment of Federal Bank, RBI, in 1935. Federal Court will be set up under the Act by 1937. And any dispute between union and government and provincial government would be settled. Thereafter, Burma was separated from India. Orissa was separated from Bihar with Cuttack as capital. Sindh was separated from Bombay with Karachi as capital. The number of provinces are 11 by giving Northwestern Frontier Province status full-fledged along with Orissa and Sindh. The federal level, bicameral legislature to consist of Federal Assembly and Council of State, we already know. Threefold legislative division, federal, provincial, concurrent, the new thing. A new body called the Federal Railway Authority was set up to technically control the railways in India. 7 members directly reported to the Governor General so as to make sure that the stakes of the railways is protected. Further, criticism, as we know, communal and caste electorate was further extended. Voting still not sufficient. Franchisee still 1/6 of total adults in India, 14% of population of India. Too much power to the governors of the provinces. All India Federation never implemented. Nehru said it is a machine with strong brakes, but no engine itself. Jinnah said rotten, fundamentally bad, totally unacceptable. Why would Jinnah say that? Why would Jinnah basically not like 1935? Muslim separate electorates are already there. Strong center. Strong center. In this, still the center is very strong. And he wants full provinces having their own legislature or own constitution. The fact is that all India Federation was being proposed. He didn't like it, which means strong center. Congress demanded Constituent Assembly to write the Constitution of Independent India. And that is why this is the first time the concept of Constituent Assembly was fully proposed in front of the British in 1934, in which this idea was rather given by M.N. Roy and became an official demand of the Congress in 1935. And C. Rajagopalachari voiced the demand for a Constituent Assembly on 15th November 1939 with adult franchise for the first time. And you will see it will be accepted in 1940 under August offer, which I will discuss with you. Now, before I go to the performance of the two parties, are we clear about the Government of India Act? That Supreme Court Yashovarman is basically based on criminal jurisdiction. I have given you a thorough understanding. I've tried to give you flowcharts. I've tried to give you basic understanding of what is the structure. Simple point is you don't have to complicate it. If you can remember the basic provisions I have written on the screen, it is more than enough in that sense. The 14 which I wrote, this one, if you can remember, forget the slides. I told you when you will write it. If you can remember these 12, can you remember these 12 for me? See, first is going to be basically match the following or a statement based question in the examination. And then they can ask you a question. For example, I'll give you, if you want, I can give you a mains question. See, the Government of India Act was the base on which Indian Constitution was developed. Discuss in the context of its provisions. Now, the irony is that if you will technically just write the 12 which I have written, it will automatically become 250 words. Now, this is the other type of question that basically it introduced all the aspects which we see today, and the concept is very simple. You can write an answer for this. Perfect. Now, what I'll do is that I'll just discuss. I don't see, I can give you a break here, but I can give you a break just before Gandhi Bose. Because what I need to do is there will be elections in 1936 and 1937. I just have to discuss the performance of the Congress and the Muslim League. Can we do that? And then we'll take a break maybe, because then I want you fresh for Gandhi Bose. I want fresh for Gandhi Bose. Now, you send Nandini the answers to islive@byju's.com. Now, Government of India Act 1935 has been produced. Now, in 1936 and 1937, the British wanted to hold elections based on Government of India Act 1935. So now what is going to happen? White papers is nothing but the base of the Government of India Act 1935, which is the roundtable conferences. Rahul is going to come in, don't worry. Just one more year wait, 1938, Linlithgow is going to come through. Now, 1936-37 elections is a very interesting phase, because now the Congress for the first time as the Indian National Congress will fight an election. Will fight an election at both the central and provincial level. And what is interesting here is that the election will be the first time Muslim League and the INC will go head to head. That the Muslim League has separate electorates, but the INC represents India in the larger context. And that is why there will be political manifestos, there will be a lot of buzz around all of these elections. Before I go into the nitty-gritty, I want to discuss a very important result or the larger picture here. Obviously, the Congress did well. Obviously, the Congress did extremely well with close to 90% of the vote share when it comes to non-reserved seats. So the Congress will do well at the central level, at the provincial level. Most of the premiers, premier is a word basically for a CM. Most of the premiers were INC based. However, only in Bengal and in the Northwestern Frontier Province, they'll not be able to manage that. Though there were two other very towering personalities, who's called Fazlul Haq, the Krishak Praja Party in Bengal, and Khizr Hayat Khan, who technically was Northwestern Frontier Province, the Unionist Party. But that is not going to come as a surprise to me, and I hope it does not come as a surprise to you, that the Congress did well. It is obviously the Congress. But what is more shocking or technically predictable for me is how bad the Muslim League do. The Muslim League had been claiming since 1906. For 30 years it was claiming, we represent the Muslims. We represent the Muslim. I am Jinnah. I represent the Muslims. Muslim. I am the worst. I am the best. I represent the Muslims. Now, when Muslim League goes for election this time, the performance, you see, 2 out of the 84 reserved constituencies in Punjab, 3 out of 33, not even one seat in where Pakistan is today, and in all provinces they were second. At this point of time, League vote share within Muslims is 3%. Only 3% Muslims support the Muslim League. After separate electorates, this is this performance. 3%. And the League will become so desperate for forming governments that in the United Provinces, it will go to the Congress and say, Bhaiya, let's go for a coalition. Let's go for a coalition. Let me also come to power with you. We have always been together, brothers. Remember the brother, I helped you there. Help me. Let me make a government with you. Congress says, who, what Muslim League? Congress showed a lot of arrogance at this point of time. And Muslim League was not able to form a government in United Provinces. Basically, the real power, what we call as Auqat, the real power of the Muslim League was now in front of everybody. That only 3% of Muslims actually support Muslim League. But the performance in this election will do two major things which is related to communalism. Can I discuss these two major things which are extremely important for our history? First is that the Congress will lose out or will have a very myopic vision. The Congress were like, we won, we will make everywhere government. They did not realize that by not cooperating with the Muslim League will fully get alienated. And thereafter, there's a grudge which Jinnah holds that when I told you to go for cooperation, you did not go for cooperation. And second is that Muslim League will come to a major dangerous conclusion. And the dangerous conclusion which Muslim League is going to come to, and you listen to the wording of it. In independent India, Muslims will never have their interests protected or honored. But this is not the line which Jinnah said. Jinnah said, in independent India, Muslim League will never have power or its interest will never be protected. But what Jinnah does is he interchanges the words. The bad performance of Muslim League was not the fact that the Muslims wanted a separate country. But now Jinnah will realize that basically within India, Muslim League will never do well. And now starts his larger concept of Pakistan, that if I don't get another country, separate country, I will always be overshadowed by the INC. The INC did a major blunder here because they could have been a little bit more long-term perspective and bring in the Muslim League and basically absorb the Muslim League itself. But rather than they create an enemy in the Muslim League, which the British will use very soon in 1939. But I hope you are able to understand how Jinnah has changed the whole concept. Muslims did not accept Muslim League, but he saw it as Muslims not accepting the INC. And the irony of the story here is, where Pakistan is today or was given in 1947, Northwestern Frontier Province and the Bangladesh sector, which is Pakistan and Bangladesh, these areas never supported Muslim League only. These areas had their own leaders, Fazlul Haq in Bengal and his KPP, which is called the Krishak Praja Party. And in Northwestern Frontier Province, we have a person called Khiz Hayat Khan and his Unionist Party. These two parties actually held together 80% of the Muslim vote share. And ironically, these areas did not support they did not support Jinnah itself. This election is seen as a game changer when it comes to communalism in India. Because now the Muslim League will technically change its tactics. It will see that people don't support. So they will go into the feet of Linlithgow, in the charan of Linlithgow, that you please make me from zero to hero. And between 1939 and 46, Jinnah, who technically was nothing at this point of time, will become so important that when he walked off in Wewal conference, in Shimla conference, the whole conference dissolved itself. People don't talk about this election too much, but if Indian politics ever changed, it was 1936. Because here, the basic point is, Jinnah now very simply somehow absorbed this concept that I will never be as powerful in INC within India. I want a separate politics, a separate country. And here there is also the fault of the INC. They were too drunk in power. They were too happy in what they were doing. And they did not realize the larger implications of what was technically happening. I have told you the importance of these elections. Can we just read out what happened generally? The INC alienated the Muslim League, therefore creating an enemy. Is my understanding or what I'm saying making sense? Are you able to envisage and understand that there's much bigger politics in India at what is happening, and communalism is not something which randomly comes up. It's actually Jinnah's larger concept. Gandhi is out of politics at this point of time. He's in his Harijan campaign. Gandhi cannot control the narrative by 1935-36. I will tell you. After 1940s is useless. But 1936 election is seen as a turning point for communalistic politics in India. Please understand, communalism, Subarna, is the concept of antagonism between two communities, which is engineered and created in India. Communalistic forces, communities fighting communalism. Can I read it out? And I will keep on developing this concept as I go tomorrow and day after, where we will discuss this concept of communism more and more. And I will tell you why it had become inevitable that India would only get independence with partition. As of right now, partition is not given. Creation of Pakistan is not given, but it is INC's very myopic politics which technically created a major enemy in the Muslim League, and basically the worst viceroy of India, who will now arrive within 1 year, Viceroy Linlithgow, is going to use, and the concept of second wife, that basically Jinnah will be the second wife of Linlithgow. He will literally promote him at every level. At every level. And that politics we will discuss. Right? Okay. So let's just discuss this and then close this topic. So what did the Congress manifesto say? And manifestos are only big things. The Congress manifesto said total rejection of 1935 Act. They're fighting the election on the Act, but they say we reject it. Then promise the release of prisoners, removal of disability on the basis of gender and caste, radical transformation of agrarian systems, substantial reduction of rent and revenue, scaling down of debt, cheap credit, right to form trade unions. Please do not remember, these are all big promises which politicians make and how the INC is also made. Tell me, can any of this be achieved by the INC? You tell me. Congress manifesto, every before an election you go for a manifesto. Your promises, maybe some of them, maximum one, but nothing really. Okay. Now, how did the Congress perform at this point of time? The elections will be held in 1936-37. Elections were held in 11 provinces, as we know. Out of the 1161 seats contested by the Congress, 716 were won by the Congress itself. Congress emerged in power in 8 of the provinces, except for in Bengal, Punjab, and Sindh. It got a majority in all provinces. It got a majority in all provinces except Bengal, Assam, Punjab, Sindh, Northwestern Frontier, where emerged as the largest party in Bengal, Assam, Northwestern Frontier province. This is basically related to, this is provincial and this is central. That is why in provincial they perform bad, but at central they perform well. So the seats which were coming in the Council of States from Bengal, Assam, Northwestern Frontier, they had. However, when it came to the provincial level, grassroots level politics, they were not able to do it. Gandhi did not attend any election meeting. He was busy with the Harijan concept. Now, the CMs, as they're known as premiers, you look at the provinces and you look at the people. Don't have to again learn this. Do not learn. Madras, Rajaji, Rajagopalachari. Central Province, Dr. Khare. Bihar, Krishna Sinha. Orissa, H.K. Mehtab. G.B. Pant, very important personality after independence. B.G. Kher. Bordoli, supported by the Congress. Dr. Khan Sahib, Northwestern Frontier Province. Bengal, Fazlul Haq invited Congress to join coalition, but refused. So Haq went with the Muslim League. Congress had no role in Punjab, and Congress supported Ghulam Hussain Hidayatullah in Sindh. So basically, everywhere the Congress is there. On the other hand, League performed really badly in the reserved constituencies reserved for the Muslims. It failed to win a single seat in Northwestern Frontier Province. 2 out of 84 reserved constituencies in Punjab, 3 out of 33 in Sindh, failed to form a government in any province, always second. After the election, Jinnah offered to form coalition with the Congress. League insisted that the Congress should not nominate any Muslims to the ministries, and it claims to be the exclusive. You see, what is this called? That the rope has burnt, but the attitude has not gone. रस्सी जल गई, अकड़ नहीं जा रही. Basically, Jinnah is not coming first anywhere, but still he wants to exclusively nominate every person because he represents Indian Muslims. Has no numbers to back it, but he still is doing drama. This is why the Congress got irritated. It was not acceptable to the Congress, so the League offer was declined. And this is where things will start to go south, because in United Province, INC had rejected the League proposal for a coalition government, partly because the League was very, very pro-landlordism. Congress wished to abolish it. And some scholars argue that the rejection, please listen to me. The rejection convinced the League that if India remained united, Muslims would find it difficult to gain political power because they would remain a minority. But the word Muslim technically means Muslim League here. Because in Jinnah's mind, the Congress was overconfident, and in Jinnah's mind, Muslim League would never gain political power in India. Therefore, the 28 months of Congress rule which are going to be there were considered very, very fruitful. Again, do not learn. I will tell you why 28, because very soon they are going to resign. They will introduce or repeal all emergency powers, ban illegal organizations, press restrictions will be lifted, confiscation of the arms and licenses will be restored back. CID stopped the concept of frisking the politicians. Political prisoners, revolutionaries were released. Bombay civil disobedience was what the land which was not given during civil disobedience was given back. Pensions associated with civil disobedience restored. Again, don't have to learn any of this. It's just that how did they perform generally? How did they perform generally? Gandhi had urged that the Congress should prove that they are worthy of ruling India. However, in 3 to 4 cases, the Congress ministries did misuse power. For example, in Madras, Yusuf Maharali is going to use, or technically a socialist is going to get arrested by the government. SS Batliwala, a socialist, again will get arrested, and KM Munshi will use the CID against the communists and the left. And I will tell you what is the concept of socialism when we come back. Again, don't have to learn any of this. When I come back, we discuss Gandhi and Bose tensions and the socialistic concept itself. But I hope Government of India Act and its performance is totally clear, and you don't have to learn the performance generally. But wherever I have said do not learn, don't have to bother with that level of detail. But if there's a question with regards to Government of India Act provisions, and if there's a question with regards to Government of India Act concept, it should be totally clear. Perfect? Everybody. I will give that to you, Shruti, in a master timeline in the last class. Don't worry about that. Great. So it is what? 6:56. We come back at 7:06. And once we come back, a very interesting, very, very, very interesting concept of Haripuri and Tripuri. I will tell you that. We will discuss it. This is important for optional. Pamban, I've given you optional level understanding in that sense. Okay. See you. Great. Rahul, for that cabinet mission, we will discuss that. Okay. Can we move forward? Because now an interesting, important discussion, a much larger discussion than what we've had till this point. Okay. Now, these two personalities are very towering personalities of Indian history, Gandhi and Subhash Chandra Bose. And recently or generally, we see that people pit them against each other. That somehow Bose and Gandhi never agreed. Bose and Gandhi never understood each other. But what you and me need to understand is why is that there's a difference between these two? Why is that Bose and Gandhi are not compatible together? And why is that this controversy is going to manifest itself in two sessions? In 1938 and 1939, Hari, Pura and Tripuri session, it will in turn lead to, after Tripuri session, by April of 1939, the resignation of Subhash Chandra Bose. He will form the forward bloc. But we need to understand why. Because I can easily tell you that they didn't went along. But what I want you to understand is why. And where does Nehru come in between? And why is that Nehru was acceptable to Gandhi, but Bose wasn't? Now, in order to understand this, we need to understand 3-4 basic concepts. What is the concept of the Second World War, and what is the concept of socialism? Because basically in the Congress, there were two types of leaders, Gandhian and socialists within the Congress itself. And Gandhian would be, for example, Rajendra Prasad, Vallabhbhai Patel, C. Rajagopalachari. While on the other hand, socialists would technically include Jawaharlal Nehru and Subhash Chandra Bose. Now, what we need to understand is why are they called socialists and what do socialists embody as an ideology? Can I discuss that with you? Who is a socialist? What is socialism? Because I will discuss it with you in a lot of detail in world history, but I have to basically introduce this concept to you. So, in the world, the system we live in is basically called capitalism. Today, India is technically a mixed economy but has a capitalist economy. Capitalism basically means industries based production. And there are certain qualities of a capitalist mode or a capitalism or capitalist mode, which is that the state or government embodies the interest of the capitalists or industrialists. Basically, the state works for the industrialists. We all know parties need funding, so their funding is going to come from industrialists because they have a lot of money. You have privately owned industries. But one thing is very, very important. is that capitalism exploits the worker to generate wealth. What do I mean by that? Basically, capitalism is a exploitative system, which is the concept of rich and poor. The industrialists will become more and more wealthy, while the workers will always be as low as they are. So the capitalists go higher, higher, crores, millions, billions. But the lowest level of the worker will always remain the same. Will always remain the same. And basically, there is concentration of wealth in certain hands. Certain hands. So, as a system, capitalism is not considered good, because capitalism only increases what is called as poverty, inequality, socially one of the worst systems in the world, worst of the worst. Only creates slums, only creates child labor, only creates workers' distress. Few hold money, workers get exploited. Workers get exploited. If you're asking me how, Vijay, look around. Look around. Does everybody in India have a car? Does everybody in India have property? Do we have people having all money which is there? Is everybody equal? Isn't there poverty in India? Aren't we ready to shoot each other for 10 rupees? Aren't people in India dying of hunger? Isn't there problems in India? Isn't there problem in America, UK? Go anywhere. The capitalist concept is the same, exploitation of workers. If you had followed the Qatar World Cup, there was all this news around how the workers had been exploited to create the big stadiums. Capitalism only destroys the life of the workers, but it only makes one or two people rich. And that is why industrialists become richer and richer, workers become more poorer and poorer. So I hope you understand that as a system, though we have iPhones in our hand and I am technically being streamed to a system which is over air and I can be at multiple locations at one point of time, capitalism is something which only creates poverty and inequality. So capitalism is inherently exploitative, and we'll discuss this further. This concept emerges under a person called Karl Marx, and it's called the Marxist theory of reality, and we will discuss that, which is called basically Marxist theory. Now, if we understand capitalism, I would like to tell you the alternative which was envisaged or was seen to rise or being seen as the alternative to capitalism by Marx or his people who followed him. Can we discuss socialism? Because I have to tell you who is a socialist leader in 1940. In 1930, who is a socialist leader? Socialism was or is a concept, a way of production imagined by the Marxists or followers of Karl Marx. And we at one level are we a socialist country? Are we a socialist country? Yes, we are. We have mixed economy. Our preamble, very straightforward, says that we are a sovereign socialist democratic republic. Sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. More than that, we have DPSPs such as 39B and C, which talk about redistribution of wealth and no concentration of wealth in one hand. So these are the socialistic principles of our country. However, and it was originally there. Now, what does socialism mean? What does socialism mean? It's a system where we have PSUs, public sector undertakings. Give me an example of a PSU. Example, BHEL, ONGC, SAIL, any if you like, oil and IRCTC, whatever you want to call it. Very good. But what is more important to us is that a socialist country or state tries to do rather we'll say works for the worker and their welfare. Basically, the interest of the welfare or the interest of the worker is embodied rather than a privately owned industrialist. They try to eradicate inequality and poverty. And very simply, it's about social change and removal of zamindars, big elites, and it's about redistribution of wealth. So very simply, socialism is a state which embodies the workers' interest and wants to destroy these privileged positions. And these are the two systems which exist or were technically the two systems which the second system was seen as an alternative to capitalism. It was seen as an alternative to capitalism. And simply, people said that if all the workers in the world will come together, we will get socialism. The workers of the world unite technically to give socialism. And it's a good thing to be a socialist. If you want to help the poor, if you want to help the downtrodden, and as an IAS officer, which you are going to be very soon, you should be a socialist because you need to talk about the welfare of the people, remove an inequality and remove poverty. Prashant now will discuss that. I will discuss that in world history. Communism, Leninism, Maoism, that is separate issue altogether. So, socialism promotes equity. In a way, yes. In a way, it promotes equity amongst everyone. So if we understand these two basic systems, can I tell you what does an Indian socialist want in 1935? We understand these two systems? Very simplistic understanding I've given you. We will have a much more what we call as detailed discussion when we will discuss world history and Russian Revolution. So don't worry. That also I will teach you eventually. Right now, I want you to just understand capitalism and socialism. These are two systems which look apart from each other. Give an example of a capitalist country, America, Britain, France, any country which you can think of. And basic point is, no, Yuvraj, day after tomorrow. And basic point is, socialism is embodied by a lot of different countries. We embody socialism. To some level, in principle, Russia does, but technically doesn't. In principle, China does, but technically doesn't. There are countries which call themselves socialists, but we are the best example of how socialism exists. There's no country in the world which is communist or socialist. Let China claim what they claim. There's no country in the world fully socialist. All countries are democratically socialist, which is they try to bring change via democracy. So just that I call myself the president of India, I don't become the president of India. The same way China can call itself the Communist Party or the Communist, the People's Republic of China, the Communist Party. All of them are just dictators, be it Xi Jinping, be it Putin, or be it North Korea. All are non-capitalist countries, non-socialistic countries. India is the best example of these two systems coming together. In between these two, technically, is what is called the concept of mixed economy. India is truly a mixed economy, and basically, Gandhi technically does not agree with socialism. I will tell you because of this aspect. I will now develop it with you. Communism and communists, keep it away right now. I am going to develop it with you. Is this basic slide clear? Communists are one step further, much more radical than socialists, because they want to destroy the state and destroy the society. We will see. So it's a utopia. It's a imaginary concept. So mixed economy is the way these two systems work together, which is capitalism also, socialism also. So can I discuss what a socialist would want in 1935? Can we do that? As I said, these are very deeply theoretical concepts. No, will not find it in books, so you have to be clear about them. Okay. Now, what does a socialist or Indian socialist? Now, once I've discussed this, I will discuss Gandhi and Bose. What does a socialist or an Indian socialist leader want? He wants the following things. First, he wants social change, which is welfare of workers getting more power, peasant getting more power, and he wants to topple the elite systems of zamindari, moneylenders, these princes, the privileged members of Indian society. But what he also wants is independence from the British at any cost. At any cost. He technically wants independence from exploitation. Independence from exploitation. In the end, for a socialist or an Indian socialist, violence, if needed, is justified. Now, are you able to see how within this whole slide you can see Bose and Gandhi are going on two different spectrums in a way? So can I discuss why is that Bose and Gandhi cannot come together, or are the same, are the two sides of the same coin? Yes? Yes, very good. Perfect. So why is that? Now, this is a very theoretical concept, not in any book. Please pay attention. On one side, you have Gandhi. On one side, you have Bose. And in between the two is technically Nehru. If I had to go into a scale, on one side it is Gandhi, on one side it is Bose, and in between is Nehru. How? See, Gandhi is very clear about his uncompromising about ahimsa. Please understand each and every point. This is what you write in the examination. He is uncompromising about ahimsa or violence or non-violence. Second, that Gandhi technically is conservative. Gandhi does not want social change. He said, if we will go for social change when the independence is going to come, then independence will become secondary. So for Gandhi, everything about social change should be discussed once India got independence. So for him, he does not want, and very important point, social change along with independence. All issues will be resolved after independence. After independence. So he very simply says, okay, Harijan campaign, good. He says that we don't need to dismantle the society. He does not want to dismantle the society as it derails nationalism and independence movement. And last but not the least, Gandhi is a little bit conservative. He's a little bit conservative with regards to social change. Now, on the other side of the spectrum, Gandhi is clear. We've seen all of these work together, uncompromising on non-ahimsa or what is called non-violence. He does not want social change. Gandhi's agenda is perfect. He says if we are going to try to dismantle Indian society whilst going for independence, it will in turn create a lot of issues and Indian independence will go to the backseat. And basically, he fears that the British will use all of this dismantling to not give us independence. Gandhi's perspective is, you give us independence, we will figure it out. And one more important aspect about him is very simply, independence should only come via non-violent method. Can we agree to all of these points? Come on, you need to tell me. Okay, very good. The British will find a way to derail the whole process. Gandhi does not want social change. Now, on the other hand, Bose has a totally different argument. Bose believes that social change is a prerequisite for independence to happen truly. Very simply, if independence means independence, it has to be social change based. If we are still in the zamindari system after independence, it is not social change. Both first and the last point are not same. For Gandhi, it's not the same. Conservative approach and uncompromising are different concepts. The basic point of the matter is social change is prerequisite for independence to happen. And more than that, you get independence with or without the use of violence, with or without the use of violence. If violence is needed, it is justified. So, if violence is needed, it is justified. It is justified. That if we have to use violence, it is justified. It has no basic problem, and basically dismantling the society is very important process of real freedom. Real freedom. So both you can see are on different spectrums. Both are on different spectrums. But I want to also discuss something with you with regards to what is their opinion with regards to the Second World War. And I will discuss Second World War with you here. But are we basically clear about these two concepts? That Gandhi is very clear, social change after independence, while Bose is very clear, dismantling of Indian society means zamindari system gone, whole structure needs to change. Social change is prerequisite, means that if India truly has to be independent, it has to be independent from exploitation. A country which is born with zamindars and moneylenders controlling everything is not truly independent. He's talking about something very deep. He's talking about something very, very, very deep. His understanding is that true independence is independence from exploitation. He said true independence. He's very, very, very forward in that sense, that he's saying India, which is born as a zamindari country, is not India. India has to be the country which embodies the worker and the peasant's interest. Are we able to connect with the concept what Bose is trying to argue? And then there will become the fundamental difference between the two. Yes? Great. Now, in the world, Bose is at a very deep level. In 1939, in the world, because of two dictators, Hitler and Mussolini, you would have heard their name for sure, Germany and Italy, these two dictators will actually push the world into what is called the Second World War. The Second World War. And here Britain, France, the USA and USSR will fight against Germany, Italy and Japan. And this is called the Second World War. It happens between 1939 and 1945. And I am developing this concept with you because I have to discuss August Offer with you, and you will see basically August Offer and Kriegsmission are linked very deeply with the Second World War. Hitler, Mussolini, two dictators, basically are what are called autocratic rulers. Autocratic rulers. They wanted to conquer the world, and Britain, France, USA and USSR stand against that vision. And ironically, in world politics, these countries represented democracy and these countries represented autocracy or dictatorship. Which is bad, dictatorship or democracy? Dictatorship. Yes, British representing democracy is a joke, but here it does. Now, ironically, when it came to Bose and Gandhi, Gandhi said that if I was asked who to support, the British or the Germans, I would every day support the British. I would every day support the British, irrespective of anything. Unconditional support for British in World War I as they represent democracy, which is again a paradoxical situation in itself. So in World War II, rather, unconditional support to the British in World War II as they represent democracy. As they represent democracy. I will any day accept the British as the better one. I will not allow the fascists, as they're called, fascists, a very specific type of dictatorship based on brutality. I will never ever support the fascists. And when it came to this period of 1939 to 45, when Gandhi was asked that do you want the British to be destabilized here, Gandhi said that I don't want the British to be destabilized. I want democracy to prevail. So I will not use the Second World War as a excuse to destabilize Britain. To destabilize Britain. However, Bose has a totally different understanding. Bose argues we should use the World War II as a moment of weakness for the British and get and achieve independence. And achieve independence. That you use the Second World War as a moment of weakness and achieve independence, and any help from anyone is welcomed and important. And therefore, if Germany, Italy, or Japan help us, let us take their help. Let us take their help, which he will also take with regards to Germany and the Axis powers, or specifically Japan. Now, are you able to see that both are fundamentally different? Both are fundamentally on opposite spectrums. Both are basically on opposite spectrums. Now, how does then Nehru sit in this story? And why was that Gandhi, though he's a socialist leader, Gandhi was ready to go with Nehru than to go with Bose? And then I'll give you a summary in one slide. Now, Nehru is a little bit lighter and is in between both. Nehru's funda is very clear. Accept that social change is needed. Accept that social change is needed. But democracy is the way we achieve it. And if British wants support in the war, they need to give us concessions. They need to give us concessions. Very simply, if the British want our support, then you give us something. And this is why Gandhi accepted Nehru as a more milder form of Bose than actually going with Bose itself. He technically wanted to have bargaining capacity. And the Second World War was that opportunity. Now, if this makes sense, I'll bring all of this together into a box and then we'll discuss Haripuri and Tripuri session. Small discussion, but an important one. Is this making sense? These are very deep things we are discussing. And we have to understand the larger context here. The larger context here. Very good. Gandhi plus Bose equals to Nehru? Sure, why not? Okay. Now, okay. Does not accept violence as a means, no social change, it derails the national movement, conservative approach to society, support the British in World War II and not use it as an opportunity. Thereafter, we have Bose, who is social change is true independence and social privileges need to be dismantled. Violence, if needed, is justified. Society needs to change. And last but not the least, use the Second World War as a moment of weakness to get independence and take help from anyone who offers. These two personalities clear, then I put Nehru into it. Yeah, INA is the product of that whole concept, but INA is technically not his conception, someone else's conception. Thereafter we'll talk about that. Social change is needed, but through democracy. The British should be supported if they are ready to give concessions. He's a democratic socialist, so milder form. Basit Cripps mission was not rejected because of that. I will discuss that with you. Conservative approach because he does not believe society should be dismantled. That's why. Now can I go to the Tripuri and Haripuri session? See, I'll tell you one thing very clearly before I go to Haripuri and Tripuri. Understand one thing. Bose never disrespected Gandhi. Gandhi never disrespected Bose. Both had their own differences. Both are necessary for the Indian national movement. No one is right, no one is wrong. Both are correct. Both have the same point itself, which is that both want independence, but their conception of independence is different. The ideological differences may be there. Bose always knew that without Gandhi, national movement is not there. And Gandhi knew that without Bose, there is no national movement. No one technically went for confrontation direct on. Bose was always ready to concede, and that is him being a larger character and a larger person than Gandhi in that way. So both are needed in this struggle, not one. So I am very clear about what I want to say. Both have the correct perspective, because Gandhi is also right. British can use social change as derailment. Bose is also right that we cannot allow the British to just sit there. And Nehru is also right that changes should be brought in democratically. Yes? Okay. Now, how did this conflict in a way manifest itself? Small discussion. So at the Haripura session 1938, everybody's with me, no issues. We'll discuss Azad, because see, at the end of the day, even as Azad Hind Fauj, he said that the leader of the Azad Hind Fauj is Gandhi only. So he never actually ever said that Gandhi is not important for India, or never Gandhi said that Bose is not important for India. Both were on the same page, same coin, two different aspects. Okay. In 1938, at the Haripura session, Bose stands for being the president. And Bose was so popular that he got unanimously elected as president at the Haripura session, 1938. Bose. And Bose gave a very resounding speech. In which he said that a war is coming in the West. We already know that. And let us use this war to get independence. I choose Gandhi to be the person who will tell us what movement it should be, but we should go for a movement as soon as that war will start. So he could preempt a war in 1938 itself. And when Bose says that the revolutionary potential of the people should not be underestimated, the time is ripe for a movement. The problem is that as soon as he says that, Gandhi realizes that Bose is too radical. Because Bose is trying to go for something much bigger and much bigger than the Congress itself. Because in the Congress concept, the Congress working committee decides on what should be the agenda, not the president. President is a symbolic position, but here he is deciding the agenda. So the Haripuri session, very resounding, very important session. But then in 1939 March, the Tripuri session, now the conflict between Gandhi and Bose will come into the forefront. Bose will again stand as president. He will say, I will stand as president. But Gandhi will nominate a person called Patabhi Sita Ramaiah as his candidate. Has Patabhi as his candidate against Bose. Now Bose and Patabhi Sita Ramaiah will fight it out over who will become president. Gandhi is not that dumb that he will stand against Bose, because He knows that Bose is important for India. So he can't just stand against Bose. This is not type of politics which Gandhi and Bose do. Both respect each other quite a lot. So Patabi Sitaramaiah is technically nominated by Gandhi, and now Bose will win against Patabi Sitaramaiah. And Gandhi will say a very important line: Patabi's defeat is my defeat. So now the conflict is in front of everybody. Now Bose will say a very important line. He will not be there to give his speech himself because he fell ill before the Tripuri session itself. He will again say a very important line that India is ready to fight for independence. Let us go for a movement. Let us go for a mass movement. It has already been close to 7 years since CDM. Let us go for a movement. But Gandhi was not ready now to go for something like this. And Bose will thereafter comment one thing, that the CWC needs to be a little bit more radical. That the Congress Working Committee are too loyalists, that whatever the government says, they say yes, okay. So Bose said that I believe that the Congress Working Committee should be a little bit more radical, not like this, that whatever the government says, you agree it. Now, the Congress Working Committee at this point of time technically comprises of personalities such as Rajendra Prasad, C. Rajagopalachari, Patabi Sitaramaiah himself, and even Vallabhbhai Patel. So now the working committee says that it's okay that you say that you want to go for an election or you want to go for a movement. You cannot disrespect the Congress Working Committee because you believe that we are loyalists. It's technically giving them an abuse. It's an abuse to all these leaders. Now it will be about, so basically the Congress Working Committee will say, okay, we will resign. We will resign. You constitute the Congress Working Committee. And Bose could see that Gandhian leaders are now becoming more and more aggressive. So Bose will say that I choose Gandhi. Gandhi can choose the working committee for me. So still he wants to reconcile. He wants to reconcile. However, Gandhi will say that I don't want to impose my candidates on the president. Let the president decide. And now basically Bose gets the hint. He's smart enough. He understands that basically Gandhi does not want him to be the president. And now there's an ideological confrontation between these two. And very simply, Bose will resign from the position of president. Dr. Rajendra Prasad is going to become the new president. And now Bose will leave the fold of the INC. He will say, I am forming my own, what is called body, called the Forward Bloc. But still he did not give up his membership of the INC. However, in late 1939, when he will launch a Bengal-based mass movement without the permission of the All India Congress Committee, he will be expelled from the INC and banned for 3 years. And it is in this period that Bose will therefore form his Forward Bloc, and his politics is going to change, and he will now start to get associated by 1941 with the INA. And this is the basic story. It was all Congress level politics, but this result of that is this. You understand the basic INA we do tomorrow. Understand the basic story here. Basic story. For mains, what is going to come is what is Gandhi versus Bose. What is Gandhi versus Bose? Why were they ideologically different? I've given you a box for that. Let us read it out and you will understand it even more. Okay. So now starts the, see, I hope everybody is clear about this box where the real matter matters. All this is not going to be asked. How did they fall out will not be asked. We will rather ask you what is the ideological difference. Can we agree to the ideological difference here? That basically, how are they different to each other? How are they different to each other? These two sessions will never be said, discuss Haripuri and Tripuri session. They will discuss how are they different. Can everybody tell me that we are comfortable with this concept? Come on. We are comfortable with this concept? Yes, very good. Okay. So, perfect. So now let's read the story. Just enjoy the story. Don't have to learn it. Please understand the concept. I've given you the gist itself. At the Congress meeting at Haripura in Gujarat in February of 1938, Bose was unanimously elected as the president. He firmly argued that the Congress ministries in the provinces had immense revolutionary potential, and he said that we need to develop an economic development of India in such a way which is planned and instrumental in creating the National Planning Committee also. It is in this session that the Congress could give a moral support to those who agitated against the governance of the princely states also. So they said that the people in the princely states, we support you, who are fighting against these princes. And here, nothing really happens. Here, nothing really happens. But Gandhi realizes that Bose is actually too charismatic, more than that, too radical for the Congress. And from here on, the conflict will start to develop. In 1939, Subhash Chandra Bose decided to stand against the president's post again. Gandhi was not happy with Bose's candidature, and very simply, Bose said that he represented new ideas and ideologies, programs and problems that could come out of the progressive sharpening of anti-imperialistic struggle. Basically, he said that I embody the true socialist. However, Dr. Sardar Patel, Rajendra Prasad, J.B. Kriplani, others argued that the Congress president position is just a symbolic position, and the Congress Working Committee decides the agenda, not you, not you. And therefore, Patabi Sitaramaiah will be put as a candidate from Gandhi in order to defeat Bose. Bose, however, will win with a major margin against Patabi Sitaramaiah with the support of the Congress Socialist Party, a bloc within the INC itself. Gandhi congratulated Bose on his victory, passive-aggressive way, but also declared that Patabi's defeat is my defeat, and now Gandhi versus Bose starts. Basically, he took it to his heart. Dil pe le liya that basically how was Patabi defeated by Bose. He's now taken it to heart. It's now his defeat in that sense. Now, in 1939 March, Congress session will happen in Tripuri. However, the Congress working body was not obviously working well. The election to the president had now become a larger issue with regards to how the constitution of the INC works, and the nature of leadership was also in question. While Bose's victory was polarizing the INC itself, election of Bose was now leading to an inner crisis the within the whole concept of INC constitution. Subhash Chandra Bose will also accuse the working committee to reach to a compromise with the government very quickly. Now, those leaders felt that they could not work with a president who publicly criticizes doubts, and they resigned from the working committee. Bose will fall ill when the Tripura session will happen. But again, he will talk about a war which is coming in Europe, and he was in favor of giving a 6-month ultimatum to the British and then go for mass civil disobedience. So he still believes in the Gandhian method. He just said that let us use this war as an opportunity. However, Congress was, according to his opinion, Bose was believing that the Congress had enough capacity to go for a struggle. He felt that let us take the advantage of this international crisis. Gandhi, on the other hand, was in firm belief that Congress and neither the people are ready. There is too much communal violence and unity does not exist in India at this point of time. My quality has gone down, right? My quality has gone down. Yes. Don't worry. Give me 1 second. I'll just refresh myself. Now is it better? Is it better now? Little bit. Okay, 1 second. Now better. Please tell me. I have a preview in front of me, so yes, better. Little bit better. Okay, don't worry. Don't worry. Don't worry. Now, yes, clear. Very good. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for your patience. A little bit, if you just refresh your stream, I'm giving you, no, I can see it is still problematic. Still problematic. Wait. How is it now? Any better? Now let's do one thing. Do one thing. Just refresh your stream. Refresh your stream. I can see it's better now. Just refresh your stream. Just refresh your stream. I'm here. Refresh your stream. Very good. 3D में निकल के आ रहा हूँ. Perfect. No issues. So refresh. Great. Just everybody be settle down. Sorry for this. Settle down. Now good. Perfect. Hands also come out. Very good, Kivika. Very good. So hands are now coming out. 3D. Very good. Full HD. Perfect. Screen से निकल के बाहर आ रहा हूँ. Wow. Very good. Perfect. So I'm sorry. It happens. This is technically internet modulation. This is the British intervening in our independence. Can I go back to the story? Okay. Yes. Okay. So now, as I was saying that the Bose believed that the Congress had the capacity. However, Gandhi very straightforward believed that the Congress, neither the masses have capacity. Simple point is, there's too much communal violence in India, so as to basically go forward with a mass movement. So simple, Bose and Gandhi don't want to agree on the issue of mass movement. Now, please tell me one thing. Can you write this much in the examination? I'll give you the nutshell. Devansh, don't worry. Nutshell I've already given you. But there is no way you can write this much in the examination. That is why I'm telling you that you just keep it simple. What the question will come, and I will show it to you on Thursday, is much more generic. There will be no essay on Gandhi Bose because essay paper is not based on history. The simple point of the matter is, what matters is this. If you understand this, then you understand everything. That is the basic point. This is what really matters. Only 2 more modules are left. Okay. So finally, what will happen? A resolution was moved by Govind G.B. Pant, reaffirming the faith in Gandhian politics and Bose to nominate working committee in accordance with the wishes of Gandhi. Gandhi said that he would not like to impose a working committee on the president. And since Bose was the president, he should choose his members and lead the Congress. Bose continued his efforts to win Gandhi's confidence, but did not succeed. Bose refused to nominate a new working committee. Bose wanted an immediate struggle led by Gandhi, whereas Gandhi was very clear that the time was not right. Further, there was an ideological difference which I discussed with you. Bose and Gandhi were on different platforms. Gandhi was not willing to lead a Congress struggle based on radical lines of Bose, and Bose was not ready to compromise on his ideas. In this circumstance, Bose saw no option but to resign, and he resigned from the president's position on April 1939. This led to the Rajendra Prasad becoming the president. Bose and his followers will then make what is called the forward bloc. And when in late 1939, he will call for an all India protest The AICC, what is All India Congress Committee, will take disciplinary action against him. He will removed from all positions from the Bengal Congress also, debarred from holding any position for the next 3 years. Now, we have to have a small discussion, but I'm going to give you a basic summary here. Please listen to me. Please listen to me. Everybody is with me. This is a story which really doesn't matter if you understand the basic point. Gandhi, very simply, wanted a certain type of independence, which Bose did not agree to. Haripuri, everything goes well, but the streak of the larger revolutionary streak of Bose comes out. Tripuri, he puts a candidate against Bose. Patabi Sitaramaiya loses. Gandhi takes it to heart. And now, over the issue of who will nominate the Congress Working Committee, Bose will resign, form the forward bloc, and he will get expelled from the Congress. You can remember this much. You can remember this much, right? Kritika, come on, everyone. We can remember this much, right? Simple story. That is it. That is it. Nobody is going to ask you a katha kahani on how did it happen, because this is close to 2000, 4000 words. Nobody can write it in that way. Very good. Now, the last discussion for today is going to be what is going to happen with regards to the Second World War. Now, in September of 1939, the Second World War starts. Can we all discuss this very small section? Very small section. August offer Kipps mission I will take tomorrow. That is not an issue. Yes, very good. So, Devansh, you can rest. No issue. You can do it later with me. September 1939, the Second World War will start. And now the point is that the Viceroy is Linlithgow. And Linlithgow is going to form what is called a war cabinet in India. And the concept was that the INC and all parties should come together and they should help the British in fighting this war. However, Gandhi had already lost his mind by this point of time, because he was saying, I give unconditional support to the British, irrespective of anything. I will support the British because I support democracy. Bose had already been expelled. And when this question will be asked to Nehru, now Nehru will step up as a leader. Nehru's funda was very clear. You cannot fight for democracy while subverting democracy in India. You can't be a hypocrite like this, that you basically are not allowing democracy to blossom in India, but you are fighting for democracy. So whilst Gandhi was not in his right mind with regards to this issue, Bose has already been removed from the concept itself. Gandhi hated Hitler too much. That is the basic point. Gandhi hated Hitler too much. And that is the basic point. He believed that Churchill is better than Hitler, though Churchill is equally bad. But he said, I support the British over the Germans. So now this issue will go to the Wardha, what is called session or resolution. So the Congress Working Committee is going to have a special meeting in what is called the Wardha resolution or the Wardha meeting or committee. And this question will come into the forefront. So you see, though the Congress did not unilaterally act with the British or did not want Britain to draw India to the war without consulting the Indians, they were ready to help the British because they also believed that Germany was wrong. The Congress hostility towards Nazism, fascism and dictators was much more than the British. However, there were two conditions on which the Congress was ready to help. After the war, give us an constituent assembly and immediately show us indications or give us at least responsible government right now at the center, that you give control to the Indians. Linlithgow rejected all of these basic conditions, and basically the INC will not enter the war cabinet. Now guess who did enter the war cabinet? Very good. But the Muslim League will. And it is here that the romance between Linlithgow and Jinnah will start. The marriage made in heaven, zero to hero. Here, Jinnah says, yes, I also like ice cream. You don't, you hate the INC. I also hate the INC. Let us come together. And it is here that the romance between the two will start to develop. Linlithgow and Jinnah, the best of friends, the new friendship of the world. And here again, the INC basically did not understand the larger perspective, because they left Linlithgow and Jinnah alone in Shimla. That led to Jinnah to basically convince Linlithgow that he was the only solution to the INC. So this anti-INC stance is what both start to romanticize about. And that is the problem, because INC is not there. Jinnah can create any narrative he wants to. Now this issue will go to what is called the CWC meeting at Wardha. That Linlithgow has rejected everything. What should we do? So the official concept was, should INC enter into any alliance with the British, or should they accept entering and understanding with the British? Gandhi, who had all sympathy for Britain in this war, because he had a total dislike for fascist ideology, advocated unconditional support to the Allied powers. He made clear distinction between democracy and dictatorship, and he was willing not to embarrass the British during the war. He said, right now it is not the right time to basically embarrass the British. Let them concentrate on fighting Hitler. On the sidelines, Subhash Chandra Bose, Acharya Narendra Dev, Jai Prakash Narayan, who had been invited to attend this conference, technically were holding their head and were like, why do we need to give sympathy to the British? They are the same people who are destroying us. So Gandhi, by Wardha, by 1939, was not technically thinking straight. And here, Jawaharlal Nehru will become the next important personality to steer the INC. Nehru was not ready to accept Gandhi's opinion. At the same time, he was clear that we do understand the difference between democracy and fascism. And basically, he believed in a very important line. He believed that justice was on the side of Britain, France, Poland. But he could not believe that Britain and France were imperialistic powers. The war was the result of inner contradictions between capitalism, and basically there cannot be a moment in which Britain fights for democracy whilst democracy is not given to India. So he will give three conditions. He will give three conditions for the participation of India in this war. India could not be party to a war being fought on the face of democracy while freedom was denied to India. Britain was fighting for democracy, so it should prove that it is trying to do something for democracy. The government should declare its war aims, and if the war aims are about giving India leadership and responsible government, then we are ready to technically come together. I'll give you a gist of this only. The simple point of the matter is, as soon as the war will start, the question will be asked, should we join the war cabinet? And at Wardha, simply Gandhi is saying yes. Gandhi is saying yes. But Nehru very straightforward says, no, tell us what we get if we support. Are you getting my point? The whole gist of the Wardha conference or the Wardha committee is, you tell us what do we get. You tell us. And if you don't have the capacity to tell us, then we are not going to help you. And what is going to happen is, Lithgow is going to say, I have too many good things to do. I will not tell you what I want, what you will get. He was totally ignorant of this. And this will in turn lead to a major moment in which, you remember in 1936, they had one election, and in 37 they had one election and formed governments. Now, the Congress will say that once the negative government response is going to come, on October 17th, 1939, they tried to basically create a consensus, but Congress was not able to. The government refused to declare what was the aim of the British beyond the war, said that representation of several communities, parties, interest is the problem. And they said that we will have a consultative committee maybe after the war. We will consult you, we'll ask you. And against this negative response, now at October 23rd, 1939, the CWC will decide that all Congress committee ministries should resign. Basically, all the people who had been elected under the 1936 and 37 elections, they should resign. That is why 28 months of rule, because they did not support the war, they did not like the imperialistic policy. The Congress Working Committee, CWC, straightforward says, resign. And what they will have is called the Ramgarh session. At the Ramgarh session, the Congress will unanimously decide to basically, with Maulana Abdul Kalam Azad as the president, they all agreed that the battle has to become bigger. They leave it to Gandhi, if he's in the right mind, to decide which form and what timing it should be of this movement. But the Congress members should resign. Gandhi was now in favor of continued cooperation. Still, he was still not ready to go for a movement. Jawaharlal Nehru will reiterate complete independence as a precondition to fight with the British in the war. Subhash Chandra Bose will continue his stance of direct action. However, simple point of the matter is, he said, let us use the British difficulty to get independence. The simple point of the matter is, Ramgarh session will in turn lead to basically everybody resigning. Congress finally declared that the people of India would not accept anything less than complete independence. Indian freedom could not be in the form of dominion. Sovereignty must be rest with the people, and princely states should also give up to this concept. Now, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to stop here. Now, listen to me. I want to give you a summary before I go to anything else. Can I summarize everything we've done? Because we've talked about a lot of big things today. And basically, Wardha, Ramgarh, big things are being talked about. Not important for us for the examination. That is the problem. These big fundas don't matter to us. I would like to consolidate everything. Right. So please listen to me and try to understand what we did today. This is a summary which I'm trying to give you. Just pay attention and everything will be perfect. We started with Surya Sen, a small movement of revolutionary activity in 1930. But our main discussion started with what? The Government of India Act 1935. The Government of India 1935 is considered the mini constitution on which our constitution is based. And basically, it fundamentally changed India. I will reiterate their points. You say it with me. First is Council of India is going to be abolished. Thereafter, the provincial autonomy will be introduced. Thereafter, diarchy will be introduced or will be asked to be introduced in center, never implemented. Then we go one step further and we go to the provinces. 3 new provinces added, 8 were already there, 11 total: Odisha, Northwestern Frontier Province, and Sindh. However, diarchy will be abolished at the provincial level, and there will be the concept of bicameralism, which will come to the provincial level. 6 bicameral, 5 unicameral, the federal court, the All India Federation concept, RBI, which is the federal bank, plus separate electorates for women, workers, and the concept of depressed classes. Burma is gone, and simply India gets consolidated into this whole concept. Any issue here? Anybody? I think no one has any issue here. Concurrent list, perfect, great. Now, based on this, the election is going to happen 1936-37. And based on this concept, there will be Congress which will perform very well. On the other hand, the Muslim League will perform really bad. And Congress will become overconfident, will make all these ministries and all these basic seats will be filled up by the Congress. Muslim League will now develop a consciousness that we cannot get true representation in India. We have to divide India. A separate country will only give us power. Not Muslims, but Muslim League. Then we stopped there with regards to the performance of that. Then we went into a long but important discussion about Gandhi and Bose. Why these two personalities never ever were able to come on the same base. Though same coin called Indian nationalism, two different faces. On the first face, we have Gandhi, who believes that if everything is going to go for social change, British will use it to derail independence. He supports British unconditionally against a person like Hitler, and he did not want social change or violence in that sense. On the flip side, we have Bose, who technically says violence is justified if necessary. Social change is true independence. Let us get help from anybody who's giving it to us, and let us use this major moment, this weakness, to technically get independence. Nehru is in between, which is that yes, social change is important, but democracy. And second is, we will support the British only if they give us concession, which you see Wardha, Ramgarh, and the concept. Now, the conflict will come into forefront at Haripuri and Tripuri. Haripura, what is going to happen is Subhash Chandra Bose comes to the forefront, shows his real power, shows his real self, and Gandhi does not like that. So, he in the Tripuri session, Gandhi goes for Pataji Sitaramaiah, Subhash Chandra Bose defeats him. Now there's a whole tussle over who will form the Congress Working Committee. He has accused them to be loyalists. Gandhi says, I will not intervene. Bose says, let Gandhi do it. And Bose realizes that Gandhi technically does not want him there. He resigns, goes for a national movement, and he's expelled. And basically, Bose's story with INC is more or less over. Any issue in this problem? Or any, not any issue in this problem, any problem in this whole section? No. Then last but not the least is that what happens between 1939 and 40. In 1939, Linlithgow is going to find what is called the war cabinet, where the romance between Jinnah and Linlithgow is going to begin. However, the INC had certain conditions to enter into the 1939 Act and in the 1939 war cabinet. And the basic point was, tell us what is your war aim. Linlithgow said, I don't have time. Then at Wardha, there will be a major committee meeting over what to do. Gandhi said, let's give unconditional support. Bose said that he's lost his mind. And basically, Nehru will step up as a leader now. And Nehru will say, I don't agree with Gandhi. We should only help if and when we get to know what do we get after the war. So he will ask at the Wardha resolution, Linlithgow, you tell me what are you going to give. Linlithgow says, maybe a consultative committee, but nothing really. And therefore, in 1940, at the Ramgarh session, the Congress will ask everybody to resign, and that will in turn lead to the resignation of all the people elected in 1935, 36, 36, 37. And simply where we stop today is that Gandhi, Bose can't look each other in the eye. Bose has now become a part of the larger forward bloc. Nehru has stepped up as a leader. The INC has not joined the war cabinet. And simply, the war will now start to show its real colors. And we will see tomorrow how in the two of the most weakest moments, 1940 and 42, there will be two offers which will come to us in between individual satyagrah. But tomorrow we will also discuss Quit India movement. Thereafter, we will discuss the concept of INA, and we will also discuss the concept of Wavell Plan and Cabinet Mission. And on day after tomorrow, we will finally get independence, where we discuss the Mountbatten Plan, and we will do miscellaneous topics related to modern India, thereby completing modern India. And we will also discuss the previous year questions till this point. Done? Mains question, Vishwa, I've already given you one which you can do. So if you don't have a question, thank you so much for today. I'll see you tomorrow again. Very interesting topics. And temple entry movement, XY, when I will do depressed classes. When I talked about Dr. Ambedkar, I will discuss temple entry movement. 3 conditions of Varda. Tell us what you want. Tell us what you will give us. You can't fight with for democracy if you are not giving us democracy. So give us democracy right now. Right? Okay. See you. Thank you. Thank you. Take care. We will do YCOM and all. I will do that with you. But that I will do with depressed classes when I'll talk about Dr. Ambedkar also. Good night. Good night. I hope everything made sense for today. Everything made sense for today. And most probably the extra class email is going to come to you by tomorrow for sure, which is Saturday morning, most probably 7 to 10:30. It is going to be post-independence. Consultative committee means committee consult everybody, each other in that sense. We'll discuss that, Piyush. Tell us the war aim set by Nehru. Shivam, he said, don't, it is not our aims. You tell us what you will give us. Holy, it will be a holiday. Jinnah was not versus Lithgow. Jinnah and Lithgow will go into a good relationship because the INC was not there in the war cabinet. That will in turn lead to Jinnah using state machinery to become more and more important. When Bose comes back in Congress, no, Bose will never come back in Congress again. Who asked Congress ministries to resign? The INC itself. We'll discuss INA tomorrow. Extra class Saturday, yes, Saturday 7 to 10:30 a.m. for the technical glitch we had for the first class, 1.5 hours, we lost it, but we'll make it. That way we'll basically close to 2 hours back, but we will also do one thing, we'll discuss answer writing that day. We will discuss when Bose will die, we will discuss that. You can call him Jones that. Ramgarh Shivam. Ramgarh session, the ministries will resign. 1940. Bose story still left. I will tell you what is going to happen to him. How he will travel from then Russia to Japan to reach Singapore. We will discuss that. Right. Thank you. I will see you tomorrow. You can go to the webinar if you want to. I hope everything made sense. And don't worry about the extra class. I'll try to figure something out. I can see your issues. I'll try to figure something out. Okay. Haripura session is the session in which Bose became the larger leader of the INC. We will discuss prelims questions, Bismal, on once the whole course is completed. All questions together. Don't worry. Okay. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.